So good day, colleagues. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're connecting from. We're happy to be here today to share the common mobility and passenger services, common services with the WFP. And without further ado, I'll hand it over. We want to have an extended session today with extra time for your questions, interactions. So I'll hand it over to Alessandra Bianchini, the Manager of Global Mobility from WFP. Ale, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Luis. Thank you, Zamir and DCO colleagues, and welcome everybody to this exciting meeting. It's really a great opportunity for all of us to work together and to start shaping together the UN passenger mobility and carpooling service. Before though we move to specifically to that service, let me just have one slide that is a context of our service. We launched the Humanitarian Booking Hub 5 years ago. We started by providing booking services to guest houses. And we had many agencies join because we thought it was a great collaborative tool for us to shape that service together. Through the years, we also augmented the number of services which were requested by our field operations. And so right now, as you can see, as we speak today, we have 1,020 UN field service points, which are providing some services to the humanitarian community in 92 countries, from 10 agencies, UN agencies, and serving so far 300, actually in 2020, more than 350,000 clients. So the platform has almost 3,000 UN vehicles that you can book. You can book also HUNA's flights for in-country flights. We also managed to have the humanitarian community book for emergency COVID flights. We managed more than 1,500 flights in 2020. And of course, that service is now being reduced because luckily the commercial airlines are starting back their services. We are servicing 270 UN guest houses. We are providing information on 110 UNDSS listed hotels. We have 70 UN clinics that you can book, and also the 35 UN counselors that you can find in our platform. And as I said, it started as a collaborative tool, and now we want to focus today into the service line, which we call UN passenger mobility and carpooling. First of all, we are quite of a mature service. We have global operations from WFP and UNICEF being onboarded. WFP, we already finished onboarding all of the country offices. UNICEF, we are in the process of. So if there are UNICEF colleagues connected, you can, whatever we show today, it's available to you, and you will be contacted, or you can contact our team to move forward. But other agencies are piloting it in different setups, as a standalone. But what we always suggest is to take it at the OMT level to make it a country BOS service. So we are present for just the mobility services and carpooling in 73 countries. In 351 locations. The countries are the ones which are on the map, highlighted in blue. As I said, we are almost reaching 3,000 vehicles, of which 181 are armored vehicles. We are connecting to 2,300 drivers that have moved 365,000 passengers so far. And you will see, this is a first interesting concept that I will further explain later on during the presentation. We can say that we have an average trips per vehicle of 60.3. Is that a lot? Is that, could that be boosted a little bit more? Is that efficient enough? We are here to discover it all together. We also have passengers per trip. 1.6 passengers per trip, and please note that this data was heavily affected by COVID last year. So of course numbers were a little bit higher before COVID, but in a year when many operations had to stop, of course there were lockdowns and people were not moving, being transported. These numbers, of course, as an overall decreased. But then we also recorded 18% of ride sharing. So ride sharing is when different people from the same organization share the same trip. Where carpooling is really when different vehicles are from different agencies are used to move around you and passengers for transportation. So we are really a mature service. Our ramp up is very quick and very fast. We are already talking to lots of OMTs to have them pilot the service and the carpooling service. Which are the benefits, highlight benefits of this solution, really highlight. It's a UN proprietary solution for UN collaboration in mutual recognition. So the software, the solution is completely developed by the UN. The mobile app, for example, is published into the mobile shops under the UN group. It's a custom made, completely done by us, and therefore that allows us not to ask for royalty, not to pay for royalty to any service, and to shape it and to customize it exactly for what UN needs for its own needs. Mutual recognition is also very important because we have already, many service agreements signed for the platform. The template of the agreement is the same. And so that would foster a fast and easy adoption by any OMT or any agency at the local level that wants to onboard the service, that wants to use the service and pilot the service. We have standardized the staff service portal. You will see, we will go to a quick demo of it, so that all of these streamlining processes behind the management of both the services and the processes to the end users, so which are our staff needing to move from A to B, and also the processes that our administrators need and fleet managers need to use for the daily manager are all streamlined and digitalized. Also in a mobile app, you will see it in the demo. But now the best thing starts, because we can compare all together KPIs in the UN system in a seamless way. Because if everybody uses the same platform, we can really share and get the same KPIs that can be shared at the OMT level and can be shared among agencies to, of course, look for the best practices to be streamlined and to come up together to understanding if 1.6 passenger per trip on average is good, or we should target maybe a 2.0 and how to get there. But only having data about our operations, our UN operations, and sharing this data among ourselves in a seamless way will allow us to move forward. We have streamlined a carpooling solution that can, increase the utilization rates of your vehicles. So as you will see, I will talk about later in the next slide. You can have comparable efficiency gains, because we will go through the fact that you get efficiency gains, driven by digital automation. So just simply by digitalizing your own service delivery will bring you lots of efficiency gains. When you offer carpooling to others, that's when you are using your spare capacity to serve other colleagues. And so you cost recover that spare capacity that it's used for the benefit of others. And of course, you have huge quality improvements in terms of the service innovations, because your staff can book on the move, also on the mobile app. You will see can decide on the preferred services to be used, can even inject some customer satisfaction, which is in fact the next point. As you will see, I will show you, we have streamlined, we did it just a few weeks ago. We have streamlined customer satisfaction, an instant feedback per trip that can be used by passenger to report on the satisfaction of the service. And that is very important, because our General Secretary called for fostering a culture of client-centric services. So we need to start adopting new tools for us to get data on the satisfaction of the services that we provide. So it's not only about digital transformation, not only about interagency collaboration or efficiency gain, but also about quality and client satisfaction. And lastly, is that since this is a UN tool, we are committed to improve it and to have a continuous improvement. So our tool is not perfect right now, but we listen to all of the 350 offices that are connected every day. They give us feedback. They tell us what we need to do to improve the platform. We decide what is for the best, for the best shared value, and we develop it and we broadcast it to everybody. So we can shape together this system. Now, going to who can benefit for this type of solution. Actually, everybody can, and we really mean it. And so let me say, so there are different opportunities depending on the agency appetite, and I should say agency setup. So let's say the case number one is with agencies with vehicles. So wherever you are, you might have, of course, you have your fleet, you have your drivers. And so what we are asking here is to embark into this journey with us where you take on the tool and digital transform your own internal internal delivery so that you can have service innovation, automation, reporting, ride sharing optimization, and already quite a good deal of efficiency gains coming out from those elements that I highlighted. But the ending results that once that you have the data about your operation and you know how many trips per vehicle you're going to have, how many passengers per trip, then you find out if you have spare capacity that you can offer and then move on the right of this chart to the common service benefits together with your OMT and offer that extra capacity to optimize your fleet utilization to other agencies. And so you can reach additional benefits by the fact that we all together, collaborate on the service. Now, case number two, and we have few of these. We have been contacted by few of these. I hope some of these colleagues are connected today. Agencies that have no vehicles, not necessarily everywhere, but maybe in that specific location, since the operation is small enough. Agencies might not have their own vehicles and their drivers. So of course, they would greatly benefit if, in use case one, agency without vehicles, and you would see use case 3 with OMTs, with support providing common services and carpooling services, because then these agencies could use each other's services and could avoid buying or leasing vehicles and hire drivers to, increase their efficiency gains. So there's a cost avoidance there, which is very, very important, even for agencies that do not have today vehicles and drivers. And imagine also in emergencies, if an emergency strike, and of course the service is there already up and running, other agencies with fleet will be able to serve a higher need for transportation. But really what we would like to address also in this presentation is also the OMT, interest and appetite. OMTs, we talked to many of them. Really, we had demos in more than, I think, 15 OMTs so far, and we talked to many of them, and they have a mix of the above. They have some agencies maybe with big and huge, fleets. It happens in, big capitals like Khartoum or like Juba or like many other capitals that, for whatever reason, each big agency has quite a significant number of vehicles. But there are also locations where you might have a mix with somebody having maybe few vehicles and others agencies do not having any. So if again the process is the same, by adopting the tool for internal delivery, looking at the data and finding out at the OMT level the opportunities for interagency collaboration, you can set up carpooling services. And again, moving to the right of the slide, to share agencies' fleets and maximize UN fleet utilization rate, always to the end to get a better service and gain efficiencies. So now let's look at this journey, the digitalization journey. It didn't happen overnight. The problem is not the platform. Platforms are a commodity. Everybody can have a platform. The tough part is to manage by moving from what was there yesterday. So we took pictures of our offices there. These are how our offices last year used to manage, maybe small ones offices, but used to manage their trips, their passenger mobility services. As you can see, there is also the paper driver logbook of course, that all of us have seen. Now, we have taken all of these and digitalized it in a platform, in a website that I'm going to show you in a second, and also in a mobile app. Now, let me ask to my colleagues if we find out a way to have the video playing, or maybe I should just advise colleagues to look at that afterwards. Can anybody support me on that?
Yeah, Ale, we put the video as a handout so colleagues can watch it at their leisure, and it's also going to be sent to their emails.
Great, thank you so much, because so we can just move directly. So the video actually summarizes what I'm going to show you anyway now. So let me just move now to I apologize, I had another window open, to the platform, and so you will see what's actually played in the video. So let me enter this, what you see. I hope you see my Humanitarian Booking Hub. That's the home page of the hub. And these are all of the services that we provide. But for the sake of the operation, of the presentation, sorry, let's look at the Explore here. If you look at the Explore, the first thing that we want to do, and we need everybody's help here, is that we want to show in a tool the UN footprint in the countries where we operate. So, for example, if you click on Sudan here, you will see that there are 23 UN guest houses that are offered to colleagues to use. There are 20 offices that are using from different agencies that are offering their mobility services. And of course, you find here the agencies that are providing those services through the hub. And of course, if I move on different countries, you will see the situation changes again. And maybe nobody knew that there were 41 UN guest houses in South Sudan and 70 offices already providing mobility services to their operation, and so on and so on and so forth. So you can move to the different countries and of course find the different situations. Now, for the sake of this presentation, let's thank one more our Iraq colleagues, because they have offered to display their operations today. So let's enter Iraq. And as you can see, you enter a map of the country where you see all the locations that are providing, accommodation, you are providing clinic services. But in particular, now let's go to Erbil, where we have our offices. As you can see in Erbil, there is already UNICEF is already providing their services. WFP is providing their drivers. There are other hotels that you can book, but let's look at the WFP driver for a second. So when I click on the page, and every single location has its own dedicated page, you will see some of the pictures that can inform we hope we have Wazim connected here. Ciao Wazim, if you're connected from our Iraq office. You can have some information in there, but first of all, the most important is that staff can easily request a booking. So when I click on the booking, so now we are looking and watching at the benefits of the service for the staff. As you can see, you just need to book once, and then the platform will remember your data, and so you don't need to, of course, type them in again. I can change it if I want to, but it's already pre-filled. So I can, and you will see later on, it's very important we keep tracking of the unit in which you are belonging to, so that you can have also for internal reasons some KPIs on the usage of the platform. And you can have also the number of passengers, of course. You can have 3, and if I enter more than 1, you need to enter, because in security locations, they have asked to have the details of each single passenger. So depending on the number of passengers, you can have different names to insert there. And then you can book, for the airport, for in town, or for out of town. And if and also for in town, out of town, you have the the details of your outward trip and your return trip. Now, before I forget, you can also attach, attach a document to this booking. This was super important during COVID, because in WFP, for example, we used it as a mandatory field for colleagues to pre-fill the self-screening of COVID. Health status, and so this was made mandatory under COVID. The other thing that I want to show is that you can also book. So this is if you're booking for yourself, but what if you have an assistant or a travel arranger or whoever booking for somebody else? Then we have the feature of this booking is for someone else, where now I become the office assistant that is booking for somebody else. So now every time that if I hit the button request, I would receive an email with all the details of my booking request, telling me that the booking has been received, it will be processed, and a booking confirmation will be received as soon as the booking is confirmed. So this is as easy it is from the end users, from our staff side. And let me also, just going back to our operations, remind something important. All the humanitarian communities, everybody that has a humanitarian domain can enter the hub. So private domains right now are not allowed in because of security reasons. But everybody can come in, and most agencies can enter with a single sign-on, so with your own credential. So you don't need to have a dedicated password and username, but you can just enter, because we liaise with all of the UN agencies, the major ones, to make sure that their staff can enter in a seamless way. If somebody enters and cannot enter in single sign-on, please let us know. Through the emails that we're going to leave at the end of this webinar, so that we can contact your organization and eventually activate the single sign-on also for your staff. But now what you're seeing, these are the benefits for the staff. We will see the mobile app later on, where Jada will walk you through also some of how you make a booking through the mobile app. But now let's look very quickly to the most interesting part of this presentation, which is the digital office. So the digital office is really the global service center that we have developed for the different lines of services. So as you can see, we have the line of services of accommodations, of clinics, of carpooling, and of course aviation. But for the sake of this presentation, let's look at of course the carpooling. And as you can see, I'll take WFP locations, and as you can see, these are out of the countries where we are present. But for the, we thank you, our colleagues from Iraq. Let's take Iraq and let's take Erbil, and let's go into their operations. So this is what you would see if you onboard our service, our UN service. This is what a fleet manager in a single location would see. Let's say right now the fleet manager of Erbil in Iraq. So first of all, let's look at the booking. So it's a dashboard with all of the tools that you need to manage your service. So for example, as you can see here, there are all of the bookings that location has received since ever. I can click in any of these and excuse whoever this person might be. There are the details of that person. It was, it was the requesting unit, the phone number, email, the type of trip, the office, and the return. I can edit this booking if something is wrong and I need to check that booking, or I can of course cancel it. So it's an easy way for the fleet manager to see all of the different bookings. But let's say these ones are new when they were not processed. So let's take, for example, this one, which is the first one. So let's take this one, and now we jump into the calendar. Now, for each location, what we do, we upload all of your vehicles here. As you can see all the vehicles which are in Erbil. We have the model and we have the plate number, and then there are the hours of the day. So this line is today, and you can see all the rides that are happening today in Erbil at the WFP office, of course, location. Now, if I click in any of these, I can see the details of that, the details of each of these trips, and I can even double click on this, and I can, as a fleet manager, change some of these parameters, many of these parameters, and actually save it. And if I do, automatic emails confirmation will be sent both to the driver and to the client. And also the updated information is going to be done on the digital driver logbook and on the mobile app of the staff. We will show you that in a second. So you see, just looking at this, calendar, the fleet manager can visually understand what to do. And they can also carpool together. We don't have here today, unfortunately, we don't have a carpooling exercise here. But if somebody else would come, there would be a booking request that would come for the same time. I could actually assign it to the same time slot with the same driver and the same vehicle. So let's see how easy it is. So for example, I have here, do you remember my booking there that I needed to process? I say, yes, I want to accept it. So I want to say, I want to use, for example, the Ayase, and I want to say, okay, that's the driver, and I think the drop-off time can be maybe a little bit longer just for the sake of this presentation. So let's see. Okay, so it shows here in orange visually for the fleet manager to decide if that's right, it's how you wanted it. It's with the right vehicle and the right driver. If then I say confirm and send, this becomes green. It stays on the calendar now, and automatically the driver digital logbook is updated, and the clients are informed that the trip has been confirmed with the driver's details and the vehicle's details. So that's a very important and easy way for us to accept. I'm not going to do that right now because that's a live operation, but that's how easy it is for it to work. So that's about the driver planner. Now, moving into the My Mobility, in this area is where each location can set up the service the way in which they prefer. So let's look first at the driver's list. In the driver's list, we have all of the drivers of that location that are listed there with their email, their phone number. By the way, since this is a high security or operation, we also have the blood types there for our drivers, because for emergency situation and reasons. And if I click here, of course, it's as easy as this for a fleet manager to update the data of that driver. We are working with our colleagues also in Dubai. We have the fleet center, which is managing the leasing and the fleet management of vehicles, to have this functionality also increased, and also with all of the operations to see what needs to be done and included here for the use of the fleet center, for the use of the fleet managers. And if I click on the logbook, you see all of the drives of that person on that day. So I can click, and you see all of the details of that person that needs to go there. I can even call this. I can call the client, and find out information from the client if needed. So all of the trips of that driver are here, and also for the next days and even the past drives. So I have a way. And also not only the visual way where I see all the vehicles, but just the single drivers, I see each moment in time which is their plan. So everything is digitalized. There is no need about exchanging Excel files, exchanging at the end of the day the planner for the next day, because everything is digitalized. And it's as easy as we showed it for a fleet manager to organize the pool of his drivers. Now, on the vehicles list, it's the same thing, but it's about the vehicles. So you will see in a second, okay, all the vehicles are represented here. So you see all the vehicles which are available in our Airbill office. You get all the plate number again, the kilometers that they've done for that month, the chassis number. You get, and of course you can filter. So in here already you see that if you are moving to a carpooling situation, you could have models by different agencies uploaded on the same calendar, and you could actually book them all together. But still, we have you the filter so that you can easily find the model that you want. This has been designed for very large operations that have maybe, I'm thinking about Khartoum, and again, there are at least 150 UN vehicles, even more probably, and that could be pulled together in the same tool. And I want to show you, of course, this is the maximum capacity for that vehicle so that we can manage the capacity during the booking. We don't overbook because we know the capacity of each single vehicle. And this is an interesting feature. You can mark the vehicle not to be available for an unavailability for a range of time for regular maintenance, extraordinary repair, or unavailable for whatever, for disposal, whatever reason. So the fleet manager can make that vehicle unavailable. And so whenever we are back into the booking of the vehicles, that vehicles will be marked out as in standby, not available for bookings for providing mobility services to passengers. So whenever you set up also carpooling with other agencies, this would be an easy way for each agency to allow everybody to know which vehicles and which drivers are available for the carpooling service. Now, going to the invoicing, we can create single invoice as easy as a click. I will show in a second. I clicked on the invoice, and the systems automatically prompts out the names of the passengers. Of course, these are all WFP, but let's take one. And so when I click on it, the data is already pre-filled on this invoicing. And you can add here, as many services as you want. Some operations also add the extra baggage, or I don't know, a scorecard, or whatever it is. You can write there the price, and we discuss about the price in a second. And you can issue your invoice that can be sent to the single client and also to a third party in case of an agency. And so you can invoice single trips, but as you will see, we will recommend the you invoice if you are providing services to other UN agencies that you have an agreement at the local level to have billings done once every month. And I show you in a second how. So now going to another element which is important to support common service and carpooling services, the price table. Now, in the price table is where each single location and each single agency can set up the prices to offer common services to other carpooling services to other agencies. So, for example, in here, as you can see, you can choose as a category, airport bookings, in town, out of town, or you can also choose a price per kilometer. So let's say for this example that you have in airports, you have a short trip because maybe the WP operations in Erbil are close to the airstrip or the airport. So you want to charge that after you make your cost recovery calculations, $5 for that ride. But then, for example, for in-town, if you want to have a medium trip, and you think that Erbil is big enough that on average you might want to charge for a short trip just $10, for a medium trip $15, and long trip $20. You can set up a level price for each of these, and these prices, of course, also out of town, and these prices will be injected automatically in your calculations of the cost. I'll show you in a second how. But lastly, what I wanted to show is also you have a price per kilometer. So you can have a price per kilometer, and in this case, it's going to be probably, like 50 cents per kilometer. It can be 80 cents, whatever that calculation can come up at the country office level in terms of cost per kilometer. And so that these costs can easily, I see a little bit of echo. Can somebody switch off the microphone? Thank you. Anyway, so with this price table, you can also, and this is something that I want to highlight here, carpooling does not have to start all together at the beginning. Our suggested path that we have seen in 350 offices is that you take the tool for internal digitalization, you understand your spare capacity, and then you enter into conversation at the local level with your OMTs so that you can start offering, for example, only airport trips. Think about when there is an international flight that's arriving in your capital, and there are lots of colleagues from many different agencies, and you exit the airport and you find lots of different UN cars. So maybe you can start piloting only carpooling for airport services so that an agency that is willing and to offer and to test it can agree at the local level on a price to bring colleagues from pick up colleagues arriving from with international flights at the airport together with their own staff and bring them either to the office or to the hotel or whatever. So you can test, you can pilot and see if that is a way. It's for example a very easy way to start carpooling and to drain efficiency right away from this tool, which is ready to be used for you to explore opportunities. So let's now go to a very important area, which is the reporting area. Now, if I click in the reporting area, I won't show everything, it's too lengthy, but let's look at two things which are very quick and easy. The country reporting. So as you can see in a single click, you have a live KPIs, high-level KPIs of your service. So let's say again, our Iraq colleagues in WFP, they have 5 offices providing mobility services, passenger mobility services. They have a fleet of 85 vehicles which are used for passenger mobility. They might have others which are not necessarily on the hub, even if we suggest to put them all. But these are the ones that they want to keep tracking and offer for passenger mobility. So, they have 89 drivers that are ready to support the service. And for example, in the month of February, they performed already 200 trips. They moved 382 passengers, and all of them were WFP. And you have also the split of how many were to the airport, 3%, 66% were in town, and 32% out of town. And you have, of course, the different compositions of the trips depending on the location. So you can start understanding your business. You can start understanding you have that many drivers and that many vehicles that are used to provide these type of services. And you can start making some understanding there. But look how easy the platform it is. If I inject here from January 2020 and I say December 2020, and by the way, 2020 was a month of COVID, and I ask the platform to calculate it, allow the platform just a few seconds. That's calculating the overall 2020 data. So we need the 5th location to arrive in a second. And you will see that you have these, there it is. So now we know in a click that in Iraq, our colleagues moved 2,400 passengers last year in 1,700 trips, right? So you can export this data in Excel, and you can do lots of analysis and lots of understanding just in a click about your business. And these can also be shared with other agencies to support common and carpooling. But so that's the first level, a high level of country reporting that you can get in a click. And by the way, I forgot, sorry, to say that this also gives a very important accountability of the service to fleet managers in the country office. So you might have deep field locations that have their own managers, that they have their own governance, but still you can be connected as a fleet manager of that agency at that country. You can be connected and view this data because we have a view-only profile, so that managers and also finance managers, security managers can be connected, so that they will see the data of the service. By the way, I forgot to say that in high risk environments, every time we have a feature so that every time a booking is confirmed, you can actually send it automatically to the security manager, so that he knows, is informed that a booking has been approved for a mission to move some passengers from one point to the others. And that was something that was requested by some of our operations, because they wanted to have an automatic way for security officers to be notified of any approved trip. Now, this is another report which is very important. Let me move to the month of January, which is a little bit more complete. And as you can see, again, this is Erbil. So here you see there are the listing of all the trips that were performed in January in Erbil by the system. So you see the name of the person that booked from which agency, from which unit. So see, you have also internally So you could have easily here from which other agencies and from which unit, the number of passengers. So very well here they use 3 ones, for example, the transfer type, in town, out of town, or airport, the vehicle with the plate number, the driver, the time it took for that drive, and the kilometers that it took for that drive, right? So if this had been one of those services to be charged, of course it was not charged because it was an internal delivery to WFP staff. But if it had to be charged and we had set up the proper price there, you would have had here automatically calculated the price of that trip. And you will have that summed up here. So as you can see in here, you have, for example, the monthly revenue. In this case, were $15 taken, okay? The drives in total were 287 for that month. These were the total mileage for that month, and the estimated drive time, the monthly drive time to complete those drives, right? And so you start having a huge number of data that you can look at. And this is how we suggest that you agree at the OMT level, at the local level with other agencies, how to, bill yourself based on these monthly reports, because the monthly reports, if everybody uses the same, our solution, everybody will see the same report. Everybody will be able to see the details of what's going on. And you would be able to balance off services offered to one another on a accumulated and aggregated way for the month. So that's a very important tool for us to move forward. Now I want to move to the last part of this demo of the hub of the mobility services, which is the customer satisfaction. We told you that it's important that we start tracking satisfaction. So first of all, this is a hidden rating. Only the fleet manager of that location sees it. So it's not for auditing reasons, but it's for the local operations to be in charge of the quality provided. And so, first of all, when the fleet manager from Airbill enters in the morning, they will see here they're automatically the ratings, and they know they're doing pretty well. 4.1 is really pretty well. But if I click on the customer satisfaction button, that is where, and allow me to go to January, you get, the single rating from clients. We will show you in a second how it is done. For that rate, for that ride, who was riding that rate, the plate number, and if there are remarks, you will see remarks. In this case, there are no remarks. In this case, there are remarks. And so you can manage your feedback from staff. You receive it as a fleet manager. You can see it. And here is important. You also have a way to manage it. So it can be marked as to be processed because you need to maybe talk to the driver and see what happened. It can be under processed because you need to find out maybe the guest is reporting, passenger is reporting that something was broken, and you want to check, and so you want to make it under process because that is, of course, I don't want to confirm, sorry, the remark. It's forwarded for action to any other organization, and I mean unit of the organization, or it's closed because it was just a comment that you acknowledge. So you keep track, and and the tool is automatically, because the client gives the stars, the number of stars from 1 to 5, and so you can monitor everything that is above 3.5 would be great. Reaching 3 is already very good. Everything above 3 is really great. So you have also a way to assess, how much your fleet is used, how much you charge other agencies in care of carpooling. If there are opportunity for you to use spare capacity for carpooling, and you can also have a high-level declaration of customer satisfaction of that trip, not only from staff from your own operations, but also from other operations. So I think with this, I would like to hand it over to Jada, because I would like now very quickly, Jada, I think you have a little bit more than 5 minutes to show the mobile app to our colleagues and the benefits for the staff and the benefits for the drivers. Over.
Sure, thank you, Alessandra. Okay, as Alessandra mentioned, we'll have a closer look at the Humanitarian Booking Hub mobile app, which is an absolutely easy to use tool that allows improved trip planning and, of course, faster management of trips. Now, as you might notice, the layout is very similar to the one of the browser version. So you have here all the service lines that you can book with a tap, with a single tap. So, for example, if we click on UN drivers, we can choose the location we would like to make our reservation at. It takes a while for my phone to load. So you can see the listed countries in here. You can choose your country and then go ahead and make your own booking, of course. And this is the same is true for all service lines, of course. And if we click on the 3 lines at the top of the app, which is, by the way, is available both for Android and Apple devices and also works offline, you can see, for example, your profile section with your details that can be kept up to date every time, and you can see the My Bookings section containing all the bookings that you made in the past, the ones that have not been processed, the ones that have been confirmed, and clicking on the confirmed ones, you can also leave a feedback on the service you used. Basically, you can also mark your most frequently booked locations as favorite ones, for example, so that you can rebook them in with one tap, very, very quickly. And you can also leave a feedback, a general feedback on the Humanitarian Booking Hub, for example, or for other service lines that you might have used. Now, drivers, as Alessandra was mentioning, drivers also have access to their own logbook from the app, which is something we are very proud of, because, of course, this is a good way for drivers who are always on the go to check their trips. So from here, it looks exactly like the logbook that Alessandra showed earlier for Erbil, for our colleague in Erbil, only on the app, of course. And you can see here the list of assigned trips for that specific driver, and for today, future trips and past trips. Now, if drivers have been instructed by their fleet managers to have the kilometers, the distance traveled calculated, okay, what they do is they click on Start Trip, okay, when they are, for example, departing from their office to pick up a customer, and the app asks them to input the number shown on the odometer at trip start. So, for example, I'm a driver, I'm departing from my office, and the number shown on the odometer at trip start, so before collecting the customer, is 10,000, for example. Okay, I click on submit, and then I go and pick up the customer. I drop them off, and then I return to the app, and here I can click on finish trip, and I can input the final. Okay. No, 10 more. Okay, and then I click on submit. You have the choice between kilometers and miles, and this figure will be associated to the cost recovery report, which Alessandra showed you earlier. So the distance has been calculated and will be reflected onto that report. And if a price has been applied for that specific trip, the price appears on the report as well. And of course, there's also the possibility, if you click on a specific trip, for example, you can easily call the passenger. You can see the call passenger button, and of course the driver sees all the booking details and the passenger's details there, and so it's a very handy tool to be used for drivers. Over to you, Alessandra. Thank you very much. I think you can carry on with the presentation. Thanks.
You are
muted, Alessandra.
Okay, sorry, apologies. I probably, I don't know, muted myself maybe, but back. So let's look now, at some of the slides. Just for you to know, we will leave in the presentation deck some slides that are summarizing the benefits of what we have shown. So we won't go through it now, but there are some suggested actions that you could easily take, some quick wins. You can communicate the availability to your staff of the tool so that people can already start using the bookings. download the mobile app for use on the move and see how it works. Of course, for the back office, you can join the service for internal delivery, obtain data, and then discuss at the OMT level. And you will see there are some of the high level benefits there that will last. Benefits for drivers. I think we hopefully showed you that we are digitalizing completely the experience of the paper driver logbook with this, and then the customer satisfaction. Now, quickly, I wanted just to touch base on the duty of care and the COVID guidance. We were, given the fact that we were all connected together on the same tool during COVID, we were able to share very quickly with our partners on the platform some communication material. So we sent out guidance, of course, for how to properly sanitize the vehicles, how to, all of the guidance that all of us have sent out to our operations, but we could start collaborating together, because being on the same tool allows you to quickly streamline the same work for everybody. So we came up with some, also material, awareness material, which was very important, especially at the beginning of the onset of the pandemic. And so we had some posters for passengers and then posters for drivers that we provided in 3 different languages to all the operations. So they are up, actually, you can see them already today on the hub, on the home page of the mobility service. You can download them and use them because that have been very useful to global operations. And of course, whenever somebody reached out for some extra suggestions, we injected it and we broadcasted to everybody the best practice so that everybody could benefit for it. Of course, last but not least, the tool was very important in controlling the number of passengers per trip, because I showed you is the fleet manager assigning the passengers so that he could make sure that there were only 1 passenger per trip. There was only 1 passenger per trip at that time. And also for contact tracing, because in case of need, you could actually trace back digitally very quickly who was in contact with who during trips, either the driver or the passenger. So very, very important tool to have it also just for the COVID, control. Now we're gonna, as I said, to continuously improve the tool. We will add the client signature at the end of each trip. I don't, it's not there. It's going to be released hopefully in 2 weeks, so that at the end of the trip on the mobile app, the passenger will receive the confirmation on the trip for it to be checked and closed digitally. So with eliminating over time the signature, the paper signature. And of course, we're also checking on the offline working of this functionality, because we all know that our operations are working in environments which have a tough situation for connection, for internet connection. And so all of the mobile app functionalities are working, are registered on the handset, on the mobile phone, and then as soon as the phone is back into connection, are activated. The cost recovery calculator for carpooling. So we want to support you and our operations and our colleagues on the platform to calculate the right cost to be put into the. So we give you now today, we have given you the price table so that you can configure the price exactly the way you want for each single type of bookings or for just a cost per kilometer. But we are looking at the modality as a calculator that we want to then upload on the app, on the service, sorry, so that everybody will be able to have maybe a streamlined way in which to calculate cost recovery in your operations. We are working on a service agreement template to support OMTs to quickly sign off carpooling pilots and start piloting some services. On this, there are some also there are some templates around. We are all working on the same thing. And again, if we can collect all together our efforts, and if anybody is connected that has already quite a good service agreement or maybe already up and running, they want to share, if you share it with us, we will broadcast it to everybody for all operations to, in the mutual recognition principle, to leverage on what other UN colleagues have done in another location. So we are going to add the daily vehicle check. As I said, our colleagues from the Fleet Center in Dubai, in WFP, they have asked, they manage, as I said, the fleet management part. They've asked to inject into the mobile app also some daily checks for the drivers and maybe some fuel tracker also. So that's also something that we were looking at in 2021. So we're going to integrate GPS data so that not only you will get the kilometers by the drivers inserting in the beginning and ending kilometers, but we will have GPS data coming from mobile phones, from tracking systems, and also from OBDs. Actually, there is a mistake in there. So that we want to have a solution which is, you know, equipment neutral. We don't want to have to be linked to a single tracking system or a single agency. So what we will do, we will work on something which is called API for us to connect to any tracking system and take the data either from mobile phones of the driver and the passenger or from the tracking systems of the vehicle and put it into embedded into bring that GPS data into our solution to make some data automatically available at the end of each trip. This is something that we are working, and it will probably be available. The mobile phones part is going to be available in 2 weeks, and the rest of the tracking system, we start a conversation with Novacom, which is our supplier of the WFP tracking systems. And so we will, which is also providing some functionalities that we are interested in. And so we will probably have good news in this area in the next months. And then we're working on some emergency specific feature for some of our colleagues, like, for example, the automatic escort car for some of our colleagues that are working in complex operations. Other 2 slides. But this is really the fun part of it. It's really where I think if everybody uses a UN tool, you know, that's created for the UN, we can have comparable seamless data. And this is just illustrative. We take some of this data, and for example, we can tell you, you know, in here you can see the number of trips per location, and you know, the bigger the area, the bigger is the number of trips that were performed. You can have the transfer type. For example, 72% of the bookings were for in-town, you know, missions, and 9% from the airport, and on 19% out of town. Now we have exactly the ranking of the requesting units for global operations. So we can tell you on average of all of the agencies that are using our solution, who is, you know, which are the top users of these services. Of course, each agency would have his profile, but this is an overall, you know, data that we are providing here. The trip purpose, again, meeting 34%, airport 10%, cargo documents 8%, bank 3%. So we want to look into these and find ways to optimize the service, maybe for all agencies. Maybe there needs to be just one vehicle that in carpooling goes and passes by every week and collects things to be done for the same banks for all agencies. So there are lots of, if you look at how the demand, why are mobility services asked for by your staff, you can understand how to optimize them. First for your own, and also together with the other agencies in carpooling. Also for the trip type, the majority of them are round trip, and only some are one-way trip. That also something that it can be looked to find easily, you know, optimizations. And again, the airport ones can definitely be all optimized in carpooling. That's the single route, the single type of trips that we suggest everybody to promote carpooling pilots, because you will benefit out of it. But let's look at the top right part. This is one of the most interesting parts. So in one point in time, this is not illustrative of today. As you can see, the bookings at that time were quite limited, but I'm just putting it there. And this is a pre-COVID data, but it's illustrative. So, you know, this is us at that time. Then it was agency 1, 2, 3, and 4 with the number of passengers that they moved, the numbers of vehicles, and the trips that they performed to book to move those passengers. And so you can start looking at some very easy passengers per trip, you know, KPIs. As I said, very easy ones, not complex one. And then the trip per vehicle. And so you can find out, and you can look at the best practices. You can agency one, which was really the best performance in terms of pass per trips, and talk to them and understand how is it possible that they're really maximizing, doing the best job in terms of ride sharing right here, okay? And maybe agency 2 is not really maximizing the utilization of their cars because there are only 1.3 passengers per trip. Why, when we look at the trips per vehicle, so utilizations of trips, then there is an agency that has 60.6 trips per vehicle and another one that has 21. So we need to understand what's going on and imagine this is done at the OMT level, not at the global level as we see it here. That will give you a lot of data to start discussing into your BOS framework how to shape carpooling services right away and right now. Last important things, all of these is of course to get great potential for efficiency gains. You have read everywhere that this is one of those services that can prove in the future, will give high yields in terms of efficiency gains, which are coming mainly from automation, ride sharing, carpooling. But let's quickly look at each of them. You can have lots of time savings through the service automation because you will eliminate activities, you eliminate mistakes of reporting wrong, maybe misspelling names of passengers, misspelling phone numbers, emails, drives, kilometers. Everything is automated, as you have seen, and that will make you save a huge amount of time. Now, in WFP, we have calculated, just for you to know, that the time savings provided by our global the operations, by the way, they were not global at that time. The last year were on this platform brought us more than almost $500,000 of efficiency gains just for the automation part, for the fact that the fleet manager and the drivers have everything handy on their phone and on the hub without having to go to paper form. We expect, it really depends on COVID, but we expect this number to raise up to even $1.4 million of savings in automation in 2021 if all of our locations use the service. Of course, it will depend also on how the COVID progress. Cost avoidance, that's the second part here of the huge area of potential of efficiency gains. Because of course you can reduce your overhead cost because you increase ride sharing and carpooling, you use more the cost that you have, and therefore you have, looking at your data, you can optimize your fleet. You can also get, and this is where the fleet management part also gets into it, with fleet managers and fleet manager looking at this data, you can also think about some right sizing of and using the right model to go to the right places. So maybe you don't need a 4x4 because it's not efficient to move a 4x4 to go to the airport, if maybe you can use a sedan, which of course uses less fuel and it costs less in terms of maintenance. So there is a huge area of cost avoidance that you can, these are really cash savings that you can bring forward. Then you have cost recovery, because if you can increase your utilization rate with the ride sharing of yours, so putting more people into the same trips, or you can use your spare capacity to other agencies with a carpooling option, and in there you will probably cost recover because you will offer cost fee, so you will cost recover for spare capacity which was left unused. And then, of course, there is a huge area of quality improvements. So improved customer care, streaming of services management across locations, countries, UN agencies, and OMTs, increased transparency of service and accountability, lower emission reductions, because from carpooling and ride sharing, you can calculate the numbers of trips that you will be able to save to support and to reduce your CO2 emissions. And of course, you can streamline customer satisfaction, because we showed you that you have a way to make sure that the service that you provide also to other agencies is good, because staff can very easily tell you something didn't work by letting you an instant feedback on the system. Now I would like to leave the floor to, I think, Leila, our colleague from UNDP. We want to have two of our users report you on their experience on using the platform. So we have Leila and we have also Jupiter from UNICEF. So Leila, I will leave the floor to you with the caveat of 3 minutes time, because we need to give everybody's the floor. Over to you, Leila.
Thank you, Alessandra. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for giving us this chance to provide feedback on the platform. Here in Tanzania, we've been using the Humanitarian Booking Hub for transport services for just over a year now. It's been used individually by UN agencies in Dar es Salaam, and we also have 2 interagency shared hubs in Dodoma and the northwest of Tanzania. Our experience so far has been very good. We have seen a lot of benefits from using this platform, both from the user perspective as well as the drivers and fleet managers. The platform has many great features, as very well presented by Alessandra. I will not go over that again. We are grateful. I mean, we have received very good support from WFP team in terms of demos and training session that have allowed us over the year, obviously, to get familiarized very well with the system and also train our users to use it effectively. The application has been very stable. We haven't had any technical challenges at all. So for us so far, I mean, the adoption here of the platform in Tanzania is going very well. We are now exploring on how agencies can work together to share their vehicles. I mean, now that individual agency had the chance to use the system and test it for over a year and are quite comfortable with it, we are in a better position to start the common pool. Obviously, we understand that this requires great coordination with each agency fleet managers, but by working together, I'm sure we can easily achieve this. So many thanks to the WFP team for facilitating this for us here in Tanzania. We thank you a lot. Over to you, Alexandra. Thank you.
Thank you, Leila. Thank you to you, to your time. But we wanted to have some colleagues from the field explain their experience with us. I think now we can move to our colleagues from, you know, maybe, I think Bile is not here. Let me just have a call out to Bile from UNICEF Somalia. Just a last call to make sure that you're not online. I think he joined another webinar, so he might have past this one. I think let's go to Jupiter from UNICEF Bangladesh. Jupiter, are you online?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm online. Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, colleagues, and greetings from UNICEF Bangladesh. This is Jupiter, and I like to share my experience with this UN Driver Hub. Actually, we are using this application since late 2019 in our country office. And after using quite for a year, then we expanded to our another 9 locations, I mean, throughout the country, because we found it very, very effective and useful. As a fleet manager, yeah, we found that it is a very proven, flexible, user-friendly, and excellent tool to manage the vehicle fleet against the traditional way that we did earlier. Especially during this pandemic time, it helped us really a great way, because we do not have any physical office during this pandemic time, and we not be able to print the driver request and everything. But because we are used to with this system, it was a very smooth to run our operations. And during this pandemic time, we already supported 3,500 transport requests, and around 5,000 colleagues, users, they use the service. So it's very useful in a sense of monitoring also. So through the digital tool, we can monitor the trips and review the trips of the past and future also for better planning. And most importantly, fleet managers are also human. So there are always some challenge to monitor the driver request, timeliness, perfection, accuracy, these sort of things is always there. And transport request, as because we receive it through the email, so it may be lost. Sometimes it's really difficult to give the proper attention. So nowadays, when we use the transport system throughout the hub, now it become we don't need to clean anything. Yeah, it's become more eco-efficiency, and again also writing the emails to the colleagues for confirming the transport and booking, driver's details, transport details. We need to print and we need to write emails to three different emails we need to write to users, to dispatcher, to the drivers. Yeah, but now we can do it only one click, and it helps us to save the time very significantly. And most importantly, earlier when we do communicate in the fleet management among us or the users through voice call, actually we need to spend more time on voice calls to confirm the transport request, assignments, and any changes. Yeah, all the time we need to be busy with the mobile phone or landline phones, and we need to receive a lot of phone calls. But now it has gone. We don't need to call our users, drivers very much. They got their information instantly in their mobile phone or in the laptop, so they don't need to call us or the drivers frequently, rather than they are getting that well informed. So now at the end, I want to say that although this software we have started using and still it's user friendly, but I think that there is a lot of room for future improvement, and the team is really supportive and they are working hard, I understand. And in future more features will come up, and really it will make our fleet managers more efficient, cost effective, and smooth life. Thank you all. Over.
Thank you very much, Jupiter and Alessandra. I know we're coming almost 15 minutes. There's a couple of people that have had their hands raised, so we'd like to move to Q&A, if that's okay. Wassem Sabah, you've had your hand raised, I think, for a while. I am asking to unmute you, so you can go ahead and ask your question. Wassem, are you there? Okay, we also have Udi Setyawan. I'm also going to request to unmute you as well.
Hi, Luis.
Hi, Wassem.
Hi, how are you? Hi, Alessandra.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, this is Wasim Sabah from your country office. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My question is, it was not a question. Just I was raising my hand to say something that now we are on the road to start the initial of the using the common mobility. Common services in Iraq in collaboration with Stefano. So now we are on the road to go for the OMT level to conduct this in Iraq.
Very well, thank you so much. This is in fact, so Luis, the only slide that I want to project is the next one, maybe, where we have also the path to the BOS. And so maybe I wanted to hand over to Cynthia as a closing part, how this work fits into the BOS and the Common Back Office framework. So maybe we can also put that slide on while we take other questions. Over.
Great, sure. Thank you, Alessandra. Bashar Muhammad. Are you there, Bashar? You can unmute yourself.
Hello.
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 Please go ahead.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Thank you for this great presentation. My question is just I would like to know, have you planned another presentation in French?
Sorry, I missed the question. Can you, because there is a lot of noise. Yes. Can you repeat the question?
I said, have you planned another presentation in French?
In French, yes, we can organize. That's yes. Yes, I understood your question, and I think we can definitely have a presentation in French. Yes, we ask our colleagues, Luis and Zamir, to organize it, and we can have the same presentation in French. It was already asked in the previous webinars, so yes, we will organize it.
As well as if any country team wants to have a personalized webinar for their team, the global mobility team as well is available, right, Alessandra?
Absolutely, we're available to you can download the app, you can test also our service for 1 month. We don't have, it's a UN service, so we don't have royalties. You can test it for a month, see if you like it. Then of course we have a service agreement to sign. You can consult the practice notes. We have put lots of information and additional information into the practice notes. You can talk to your local WFP UNICEF colleagues. All of them should have the service already activated. And you can contact here or the hub, that's the same. We are super happy to organize dedicated OMTs, dedicated also in French demos, for you to also enter into local, maybe the local setup. We can also help you understand how to set up the service into your local operations, depending on how many agencies have vehicles, do not have vehicles. And so we can suggest you also on the way forward, because the team, which unfortunately was not the time to present, which is connected today, is very well skilled in supporting the change management. Cynthia, do you want to say something about very quickly, maybe just 2 minutes on the BOS and how this work fits into the BOS? You need to unmute yourself, I think.
Now you're unmuted.
Okay, great. Sorry, we have a slightly different new tool in the background. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good evening. Thank you, colleagues from the agencies who have been asking questions and have been presented their experience. I think one of the points that I want to emphasize, and I've been, involved on the WFP side, on the business innovations group, and feeding into the BOS and developing guidance for, our organizations, and one of the things that we noted is that a lot of agencies didn't have a lot of capacity on the fleet side, that it was a very decentralized process. There wasn't systems, it was highly manual, people were on the chalkboard. And if you're gonna fix something, one of the things that I've learned since I've been doing this job is that, you really have to kind of standardize your processes, digitize them if you can, and that's gonna enable us to go to that, that next step forward. And this is why, we've got sort of perhaps maybe two parallel things that are happening: change management and adoption of a new tool inside of an agency to, to gather data, to be able to have the data to be able to design the carpooling pilots, because I think that that's been the biggest obstacle. Everybody understands, people have heard about Uber, people are using Uber, people understand in this day and age that we're able to use technology to share, our vehicles, optimize the use. And so definitely we've got a very flexible way of, letting people sign global agreement, but also we felt that it was incredibly important to target the BOS process, because working with DOCO have been wonderfully supportive, Louise, Zamir, and the whole team, is that we understood that OMTs were grappling on how to get started, where do I go, and such. And so this is why we developed the practice note. And this is why not all of these things have to happen exactly in the way. You're going to have some agencies that have already rolled it out, some that are coming on board, and then you really are, as a part of the BOS, you are able to have more data, more information for the opportunity analysis, the cost benefit analysis, and then figure out how you're going to implement it. But one of the things that we also saw from the first BOS was that people wrote the document and then had difficulty implementing some of the services. And so I really see the Humanitarian Hub and the various different services that are on it, and particularly this, what we call mobility piece, because that's what the private sector calls it, as a way to enable you to manage that service. And we've understood that the carpooling is going to be driven by the OMTs and these, whatever you want to call it, carpooling, fleet sharing, ride sharing, trip consolidation. And I really believe that if folks are familiar with the tool, sign up to the tool, that you at the country level will be very much empowered to design and come up, work out your pricing policies. Not everything has to be perfect in the beginning. And that's what we've really learned on going through this journey of digitization. We know that the common back office and the CBO is coming along shortly. We also see this, this module for the carpooling and the mobility as an enabler of the CBO. Over back to you, Louise, to see if there's any more questions out there.
Sure, thank you, Cynthia. There are a couple of questions, so we can move on to their questions. The first one was Parisa Imami. I'm sending you an unmute request, so you can unmute yourself and go ahead. Parisa, are you there? Okay, so we're going to move on to the next, Kamara Bakari. No, and I see Wazem Sabah, you also raised your hand once again. No, it's not. Okay, so I think colleagues are unable to unmute themselves at the moment.
Diego, there is a number of questions on the chat box. In the question box, maybe colleagues could respond to those questions. I've also shared it in an email with Alessandra. There is several questions that are raised in the questions box. Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, Luis, if I may, this is Stefano here from the team. I have a question which is from our colleague, UNDP colleague, Udi Setiawan. A question which is fairly representative of the type of question we receive. And I read, in a country where UN agencies are not located in one place building, can this system still be implemented? And how do we start implementing this joint fleet service? And what are the requirements? Thank you.
Alessandra, you're on mute.
Apologies. Yes, this is exactly what I was saying. Every location needs to be looked as a single opportunity to set up the service, and can have different setups. So absolutely, the service can be, you don't need to be co-located in the same area. If you're co-located, of course, it might be easier from a physical point of view, but in terms of digital, it doesn't really matter, because as you see the calendar that we prepare there, the where you put all the vehicles can be anywhere. So we can set up absolutely a carpooling system that has offices, or let's say the place where the vehicle would start servicing staff from any different location. And it can host a different number of vehicles, many few. And so how to start with us is to contact us, and you have there the global.mobility@wfp.org. Send us your contact. We have a form where you start telling us how many vehicles you, how many agencies with how many vehicles and how many drivers. And what we do, we set up a pilot, a digital office for you. So it's not visible to people, it's not published, it's not public, but it's there so that you can start testing the service even with no real trips. You just can place fake bookings and have fake drives and see how a driver would see it on the hub. So you test it internally and you can see, and you can also, and we foster the, we advocate you do that at the OMT level. So you can start, of course, just as a single agency and showing to the others, or you can start all together. That's really up to you. At the very end of the day, if there is one agency in one location that start using it, it can be can show it to everybody, like our colleagues from UNDP and UNHCR have done it today. And that's why we encourage you to reach out to WP operations and UNICEF operations to see it already working. And so you also see it firsthand. So contact us. And we will just ask you how many agencies, vehicles, drivers, and you will be almost ready to run. All that.
Thank you so much, Alessandra. And I know there have been a lot of questions and a lot of interest from many colleagues. So we're out of time. So we promise that we will send all the colleagues that attended and those that couldn't attend the recording, as well as a FAQ, frequently asked questions, so that they can be in touch. And we hope that this can make a big change and it can be implemented in many countries as well. Thank you so much to the WFP team, everybody that participated. We hope to see you in the next webinars as well. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. And thank you, Luis, for your patience.
Thank you, everybody.
You're most
Thank you,
welcome.
Zamir.
Bye, everyone.